This is Sanja.
Yo, check it out. It's my girl Sanja.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, what up, Sanja?
Hey, what's going on? It's your girl Sanja Denise with another episode of Random-ish with Sanja. How you doing? I've got a special guest with me today. I'm in the mood for comedy. You know, last week went out to a comic show, had a great time, and now I'm like, you know what? They are the firemen of the world. I'm showing much respect. I got to get as many comics and comedians on here as possible. So I've got another one. And of course, I'm looking for the diverse comics, people that we don't always get to see, you know, in the limelight, but are funny as fuck. You know what I mean? Okay, so to introduce to you guys my next guest today, Mr. Marc Yaffee. Woo! How are you?
Thank you for the diversity that you're looking for right here, because I'm actually a Mexican, Irish, and Navajo.
Oh, no. Nice. So you're a nice mutt mix, as am I. So that's a wonderful thing. You know, do you feel like that's kind of a, I don't, you know how the orange is the new black? Do you think like that's kind of the thing right now, being that we have so much diversity going on right now? Is that like is that a new calling card? Is that getting you any more gigs?
You know, I like to think it is, and the crowds are diversifying, and people are just more accepting. As crazy as the politics are, on a one-on-one basis, people seem to have no problem being around, you know, mixed race folks and different ethnicities, and like I do these cruise ships, and there's like Indian people next to some black folks and white folks, and then there's like these let's say a Muslim couple where she's wearing a headscarf, you know, Middle East, and no one's sitting there judging. They're all just getting along. It's amazing how if we can just, you know, do this one-on-one, it seems to be fine. Then when we get into a political discussion or cultural discussion, everyone gets placed in a box, and then the boxes all start fighting with each other.
Isn't it the craziest thing? Because I do feel the same way, that in real life, when you're on the streets, you're not really seeing that much. Like, you see people kind of getting along from all different walks of life. But when you look at the TV, or when you look at Twitter, or, you know, next question about the political. When you look at the politics, it's like it's like they act like we don't get along, but everybody in real life kind of does get along. It's very interesting.
It's like everyone feels they have to choose a team once they get on social media.
Yeah.
Like, just be yourself. You know, I mean, you know, it's I'm not saying everyone does, but it seems like we all get segmented. Everyone immediately wants to brand someone else because they're trying to make these snap judgments on a short notice so they can attack or support or judge, and there's no processing time. So
right.
Like, hey, how are you? Let's sit down. Let's talk. What's your deal? It's like, oh, you voted for such and such. Oh, I saw your comment. This is outrageous. I'm like, now, you know, I'm thinking like maybe we need to go back to the 50s. I'm not talking about the racism, homophobia, polio, bad doo-wop. Maybe, you know, slow things down and we can talk to each other. We didn't have all this. I call it information saturation.
It is true. I mean, information is such a wonderful thing, but when there's so much information out there, so much content, there's not really any type of regulation. So, I mean, it's just blah. It's just all kinds of stuff hitting the wall, and it's getting to be crazy.
But physiologically, our brains aren't designed, you know, we're smart creatures, you know, as a species, but we're not designed to absorb this much information this fast and process it.
Yeah.
Rational way. It's not, the brain can't do it. It's unhealthy.
Right. You know? Which is why we need laughter. You got to take a break. You know? Yes, you got to take a freaking break and like just laugh at ourselves for a moment. Now, do you find it, one thing that I've always been curious about, especially because with the podcast, every once in a while, I want to get like political and voice my opinion. And then I'm like, ooh, but I work with businesses. Ooh, yeah. Like, because you don't want to necessarily alienate people and have it be, especially now with the internet, things can just be, you say it once and it's there forever. You know, do you find that difficult now to do comedy since we have to be so, I don't know, I guess PC right now?
Not really, because I've always been able to jump in. Since I've started comedy, I've just jumped between different comedy worlds. You know, I started out in a mainstream comedy club, but then I would do some church gigs, which are way different. Then I would do a lot of tribal gigs, being native. and then I got on a cruise ship, so then that's a whole different demographic. They want it squeaky clean.
Yeah.
So I think I have the ability just to make the adjustments. So I've been fortunate that way, and I think that's why my career has survived. I'm certainly not famous, but I'm successful enough. I can, move into different realms, and I think that just comes from the fact that I had to make those adjustments early on. They were more prominent. They got pigeonholed, and now they're like, oh, the anti-man comedian, and they're like, and they're like, I got other stuff to say, but people have already passed judgment, and they may be locked into that box.
Right. I do find that to be true, that if you can be open form, I like to call myself open format, where, because as people, I feel like we're very, if you're a whole human being, I feel like you're very complex and you're very diverse, all within your own self. You have variations of yourself. I don't think you should be like the exact same with everybody, no matter where you go. I think there should be some kind of change.
Of course, yeah. Well, there's a nocturnal us, there's a daytime us, there's a business us, there's the let our hair down and have a drink us. And people are in constant evolution, and people got to stop. Everyone wants, because again, we're trying to process fast. We want to be able to lock someone in that first moment. That's why comedy is really tough too, because a lot of book clubs that I did before I was ready, they might have seen me do an open mic set. I wasn't that good, and they remember that. They don't say, okay, this guy 10 TV credits later and headlining, hundreds of headlining dates and years of experience. They're still caught up in that original first impression. So that's the first impressions are what's I think locking a lot of people into some difficulties on interacting with other folks, especially with the internet.
Yes, I think that's very true. It's interesting that you bring that up, because I feel like right now, I was just having this conversation with somebody, that it's like right now people want you to be kind of in a box, even though we seem to all be saying we're so diverse and let us be free, and we're all unique and we're all different. But at the same time, people kind of want to be able to still look at you and kind of know, what you're going to give them. Do you find when you step in front of your audiences, how is that first laugh coming at you? Do you find that it's coming at something that is going to hit and land? Or do you have times where they laugh at something that you're like, wait, I didn't even, okay.
Right. Well, I usually try to come out with something I think is going to have a universal appeal and not too specific and general about me. And, hey, it's like an introduction.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. I'm Mark. And, you can't just come in and say, well, I just got off the phone with my agent. They fired me because I made an anti-Trump joke. You can't just come right at people. It's a lead. It's a little bit of a dance. You want to come in strong. You want to be relatable, and it really depends on comedy where you are in the lineup. Like this week, I'm the host here at the Brad Garett Comedy Club in Vegas, so I'm the first guy out.
Yeah,
I have to come a little softer, whereas if I'm the headliner and they've already heard a couple comedians in front of me, I can just go, come out swinging a little harder if they've already kind of gotten to the comedy rhythm and their expectations have been increased and their defensive have kind of been lowered, so they're more accepting of just bring it on right away. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I do like that. So it sounds like you've been doing this for a while. How long have you been in the comic biz?
I'm in year 20 of the 50-year plan.
Hey! Oh, so listen, I was telling somebody the other day that it takes 20 years before you become a master. Do you feel like you've mastered your own style and now you've got your own thing going on, or are you a forever learner?
I think we're all forever learners. You want to feel maybe mastery is not quite the word I would say. I'm comfortable in my own skin comedically on stage, where I feel I can go different directions and not worry about, they're going to judge this, or I don't know if I can do that. You got to pay attention. You got to have your ears on, but at the same time, your fears are a little, you're less inhibited. So I definitely think, there was a 10-year mark, 8 to 10 years where I made a big leap, and then 15, and then 20 now. I'm like, okay, I feel very comfortable in my skin, and I'm most situations don't intimidate me. And the thing is, more, you can see where there's potentials for problems. Where when you're like a newbie in comedy, you can walk into a room, you have no idea. There's a bar over here, and this waitress is super loud, and this guy's super drunk. You may not all see all the landmines, and you step into it and not be able to address the situation. So you get a little more situational awareness when you do thousands of shows later, 43 states and 11 countries. I've been in tool sheds, and I ran military bases, and I did a show on Iraq and the Sierra Nevada.
Nice.
I like to say I've seen it all. I'm sure I haven't, but I've seen more than I ever thought I would.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So your passions have taken you pretty much all around the world. And like I said, I think comedy is one of those, it is a thankful job. I mean, you do get the laughs, of course, but it is kind of thankless because, as with comics, you don't really necessarily know how you're touching somebody, somebody like the other day. I was just thinking too much and I was like, oh my God, I need a break. And going to a comedy show, I was able to, suspend and escape for a little while and just laugh my ass off. It's not the same as watching a TV show or a program or going to a game because for me, when you're watching a stand-up comic, they're working the crowd. It's very like in the live, in the moment. Of course, you have material that you've been, that is tested, tried and true, but there's still that like a little bit of what is the word that I'm looking for? Spontaneous moments that you get to have with the crowd. Do you?
And people say that now, and I think that's when I get on stage. You try to be in the moment as opposed to just doing the performance mode. But, there's some situations like when I do cruise ships, it's more, you're not going to do much for the crowd. They're there to see you perform instead of an audience, a comedy club, where they're there to see you interact with them a little more.
Yeah, yeah. Do you like, which way of performance do you have a favorite? Which way do you like better? Do you like to be able to just go out and do your performance, or do you like to be able to have that banter back and forth?
I'm not a huge crowd work person. I like just doing the job. But then every time I end up doing crowd work, I have a lot of fun, and I realize, hey, I'm pretty good at it. And if my feeling is people paid to see me, and in this day and age, so people are so goofy.
Yeah,
it's like I'm like, you don't know what nut job you might have in the audience. I'm like,
true.
I leave the audience alone. I try to bring my A game. I said, I'm bringing the heat because I don't know who's packing heat.
Right. That is true these days. Yeah. See, that's the thing is with the times changing so much, you just never know like who is in your crowd or anything. Have you ever experienced anything, have you ever had like a heckler or anything like that?
Oh yeah. And a lot of times it's you really have to sense the situation. They may just be trying to interact, and they're fun, and of course they can be drunk and belligerent.
Right. Well, I appreciate the comedy that you have because I like the real life comedy. And, I watched this special on the Dry Bar Comedy, and I thought that was pretty funny. The grocery store, I thought that was hilarious. It reminds me of, I think it's CVS that has that super long receipt every time you go to it.
This is funny because, my fiance and I, we used to get you put in your phone number, your card, and you get the receipt.
Yeah.
And then I said, I was so mad when I said, this is such a waste of paper. Can I just get the email? So then I realized, well, I just took away my prop. Now I was at CVS one day. I'm like leaning into the trash can to see if there's any long seats. My prop.
Right.
So now I use my parents because my mom and dad are 90 and 92. So they got plenty of visits to CVS to save the receipts.
Right? You got to save the receipts. You never know when you might use that coupon. You just never know. So I saw that you did have the prop. That's more of like a physical comedy. Do you ever do physical comedy?
I'm not a huge physical comedy person, although I've been working on a new bit now. But I'm in my 50s, so it's like now when you get older. And you start doing sound effects for every movement you make as you get older. So everybody's like, I get up and I said, it's even worse. If you drop something, I dropped a can of shaving cream under the bed the other day. I sounded like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in 1975 shooting for Mr. Olympia. My back, into the doctor now.
See, there's just nothing better than just, real life comedy. I feel like that's that true talent, when you find the humor in everyday life and you kind of just bring it forward, instead of the cheap jokes.
I'm blessed that I'm such a fuck up. Sorry, I don't cuss much, but I think it helps because I give myself plenty of material and I run into enough situations that I can spot funny stuff now. I mean, sometimes I used to be a little bit oblivious, and in the modern technology, it works in my favor sometimes. Like, hey, grab the phone, put that in the voice notes, or type that. That was funny. I got to remember that. So grab stuff like you're grabbing items off the shelf at the grocery store. Yeah.
Yes, inspiration.
Put that in. Put for tonight. That'll work perfect. Yeah.
Right? Inspiration from everywhere. I love it. So you know what? Speaking of, you said that you were hosting another show. Where are you going to be at? Let everybody
this week
know.
I'm here tonight through Sunday at the MGM, Brad Garett's Comedy Club. Working with a very funny Sean Jones from, he's originally from Newark, New Jersey. Two New Jersey guys, and then Marc Yaffee. I think he's from Jersey City originally. And so the three of us do the show, and it's been a great experience. It's one of the better clubs in the country, and Vegas. That was always my goal when I started stand-up, was to play Vegas and play on the Strip, and that's great to see your name on a billboard in Las Vegas.
Yes, it is. I like that you just mentioned that, because my company name, and I wrote a book, Manifest Beauty. I'm all into, manifesting our own lives. There's the manifest destiny, which is like what's laid out before you. And I feel like manifest beauty is what you decide to do instead of it being, just done for you. And I like how you just said that your intention when you started comedy was to get, Vegas, baby.
Vegas, baby.
So what
happens in Vegas gets to stay on my bio now. That's good.
How did that happen? Was it just like a bunch of breadcrumbs through your life? Was it somebody that you knew? Like, how did you get to Brad Garett's Comedy Club?
Well, originally I worked across the street at the Laugh Factory at the Tropicana. They were looking for a native comedian for Pro Rodeo Week.
Wow.
So that was kind of my entree into Vegas. And then the Brad Garett, I heard the club open, and I'd sent the book or something a few years ago, and we're all booked out. Send another tape, and sorry, check back next year. And then a friend of mine, she's a booking agent. She's good friends with the booker there, and she recommended me. And now you got a recommendation, or your friends say something, and then you get on their radar, and you send the same clip or updated clip. And it worked out. They had a fallout or something opened up, and they're like, hey, do you want this week? I switched a couple other dates around, and here I am. It's super random in comedy sometimes. It's as long as you've been in business, it would be crazy. It's like you'd show up to work, it's like every week if you had a day job, you had to send out your resume and your skill set and see if they call you to work. It's almost like working in a permanent temp agency.
Yes. I like that. So let me ask, if you have any kind of advice for, I think, comedy and, maybe any kind of, I guess, artistic type of, gigs, it kind of has the same basis, not exactly the same, but do you have any advice that you would give out to any new young comics who are out there trying to make it? Because again, I don't think that you have to be nationwide and you have to have been on a TV show where, everybody knows you to have success. Like if you're waking up every day getting to do what you love and you can pay your bills with it, like, dude, that's kind of success to me, in my opinion, and you're happy.
Right. Yeah. So no, I tell people if they're looking into it or just starting out, it's, try to write every day, try to get up on stage as much as possible. It's like going to the gym. Yeah. I want to be a professional weightlifter or a basketball player or sport. You got to go show up at the practice field, whether you're working out at home or you're trying to get engaged, and then just be as creative as you can. If you have skills with Instagram and you're good at videos or sketch, do some other things to showcase your multi-talents, your versatility, because you never know. You might be very funny at stand-up and people didn't see you at a club, but they saw an online clip, and the next thing they're contacting you, and make sure as far as your actual shows, record everything, and try to it's all about gathering content at the beginning, because a lot of people think they've got a bunch of content. When you get in front of a stage, you can burn through it pretty fast, and what you thought worked on paper may not work in front of a live audience.
Ain't that the truth? Oh my goodness, ain't that the truth? Do you when you go on to do your thing, do you ever wing it, or do you have exactly where you're going to go, or do you like mix it up? Like how is it? Is it like a playlist? You're going to go from one joke to another, or do you like jump around depending on your feelings?
Usually I'll stick with the playlist on certain shows, and then if it's a little looser format, I might just jump around, and you got to work at new stuff too. So a lot of times I'll do that up front. So you say the new stuff up works, and you go back to the greatest hits. And the thing about not being super famous is most people, Dave Chappelle or Jim Gaffigan, they can't keep. People want new content. It's interesting. Music artists, hey, we want to hear our favorite songs. We don't want to hear the new stuff a lot of times.
Yeah.
Comedy, they don't want to hear the old stuff. They want the new stuff. So we have a little more of a content issue. So that was a long-winded response to I forgot your question.
No, actually, it was a perfect response because that was the question, whether or not it's kind of like a stable thing. Because, something for myself, whenever I try to do a playlist, when I say, okay, I'm going to go and DJ a party or something, and I do a playlist and I know, okay, this is what I'm going to play, this is what I want to play, I end up not even playing that because it just doesn't necessarily work or, whatever.
You get the vibe of people at the party and then how you're feeling. I agree.
Yeah.
So, the other day I did a theater in Northern California, and the ticket sales were terrible. We hardly had only 20, 30 people. It was this little matinee show because we had another bigger show the night before, and it was his friends booked this community theater. So I said, I'm doing all my new stuff. I haven't done this yet. I have a new hour that I'm working on.
Oh, there you go.
And I got about 35 minutes of that out. I'm like, this is great. And so I wouldn't have done it if not for that. Sometimes you just got I'm diving off the cliff, and hopefully I land water. Not on rocks.
There you go. And so I take it you landed on some water and you survived and everything is good.
Yeah.
Good.
Or I did, and it was great. And then here in Vegas, and I just do your sets. You got limited time, so I'll do a more of a structured set. And since I'm introducing the other comics, I won't talk to the audience too much because some of the other comics, you don't want to set up. The first guy has to set the pace, and if they're going in a certain style, too clean, too dirty, too much audience interaction, it can kind of throw off the other comedians. That may not be their style, So you try to address the situation and use the tools in your tool belt to come at it the right way, and hopefully it elevates the whole show.
See, that's beautiful. And those are the type of things that you only get from experience after you've been doing this for quite some time. You get these things that nobody can really teach you. I mean, you can't really be taught these things. You gotta get out there and do it.
The whole 10,000 hours thing, there's some validity to that for sure. And if you say 20 years to master something, I think that's not far from it. There's a lot of overnight stations that have been doing it for 15, 20 years.
Absolutely. So, hey, you know what, Mark? I so appreciate you. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. Thanks for coming on to the podcast. Thanks for making me laugh. I found you on my podcast guest, and then I also saw your comedy on the Dry Bar Comedy app. Is there any other way for people to be able to see some of your comedy?
People can see some clips at my website. It's laughwithmarc.com, LAUGHWITHMARC. My parents couldn't spell, so laughwithmarc.com. And, of course, Facebook, Instagram, at Marc Yaffee, MARCYAFF, like funny, EE, like entertaining, I hope. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was a great interview, and continued success to you in the podcast, and I hope we can chat again.
Thank you very much. Enjoy. Have fun tonight. Bye-bye.
All right.
This is Sanja.
Yo, check it out. It's my girl Sanja.
Oh, yeah.
Yo, what up, Sanja?
Hey there. Hi. So thanks for listening to my podcast. I do appreciate it very much. You have no idea how this too is a manifestation of mine. My life has been full of, let's just say, interesting moments. I've dealt with abuse, mental issues, suicide, family drama, homelessness, domestic violence, slander in the workplace. I've been through a lot, and honest to God, it's a freaking miracle that I'm not cracked out on drugs or that I'm not just a crazy, mean biatch. There's been something that has always kept me centered. And that was the exploration of my mind, because I had to learn how to soothe myself in that exploration of my mind. And learning how to soothe myself, I started studying nature and the laws of nature, and just things got attracted to me. And I began to realize that my mind was a lot more powerful than I had any idea. And I started doing experiments. So I was able to turn my life around because, trust me, girlfriend was heading in a bad direction. And although I'm not perfect and I still have ways to go, because we're always learning, I wrote down a lot of the advice that I've given to my friends. People ask me questions. I don't know. People always just tell me that they love my energy and, and they listen to what I tell them, because apparently sometimes, I don't know how it happens, but I seem to say things that are right on point for whoever it is that I'm talking to. So I wrote it in a book, giving life examples through my life. It's not just like a how-to, like I'm literally telling you a few stories, things that have happened to me that's how I picked up on these things. It's called Manifest Beauty. Manifest Beauty, what that is, it's the alchemy of using negative energy as a catalyst to create in your life and create beauty in your life and in other people's lives. That's what manifesting beauty is. So I would love if you would be one of the people who have read the book. Hey, I sold my first copy in person too, so that's super exciting. It's available on Walmart.com, on Amazon.com. It's available in print and ebook form. The print version, if you get that way you can take notes and write little things in the back. There's exercises in there for you to do to show you that your thoughts are really proteins going out there and creating things. And it's written in a way that it's not going to go over your head. It's not like too, mumbo jumbo and too wordy. It's a very quick read, take about 30 minutes. You could do some exercises right away in it. And I just hope that you can find as much peace as I have found, even through going through muck, because you know how life is. Stuff just keeps coming at you and you got to kind of have, it's like a little preparation, So check it out. Manifest Beauty. I'll stop talking now. Again, thanks for listening. Appreciate you.